So, guys, obviously we're a few weeks into 2020, so I hope you guys have all started your plan. So last time we got together, we talked a little bit about what that planning could look like and what some of those goals are. We're going to kind of break it down in a little different way than what we did at the last presentation, so it'll be a little bit different. I want to make sure you guys are pumped and set for an awesome year. Something that one of my coaches said to me one time is to change my mantra, right? To change my intention, to say instead, I'm going to try something or I'm thinking about it. Instead say, I can, I should, I must. And I don't know about you guys, but when I say that, I feel it in my gut. And that is always a stronger place of where you can find intention and where you can find motivation and drive to get things done, to get pumped and excited about having a great year and reaching and setting those goals. So we'll talk about what some of those goals might look like and how you can use that to be successful as a real estate investor. I've broken them down into several different categories, so I'm going to talk about each one of these individually. I gave them all their own slide, just so you can see what that looks like as we go forward. I want to start with one of the quotes from one of my coaches that I thought was very powerful and so very true. He says, successful people have learned to establish a pattern of successful action. Succeeding in small things builds confidence and creates an expectation of success that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So Nito Cubain is the president of High Point University, successful business owner, professional coach as well. And he came to the United States with nothing. He came to the United States not even speaking any English, and he was able to build a virtual empire for himself, and then later become president of a university and that he went to personally, and that he's helped make an even better university as well. So when you are making the decision, when you are trying to decide what you want to do, if that thing is real estate, figure that out, what it is that you want to do, figure out what you are good at, what you enjoy doing, and what values are important to you as a real estate investor, as a person. And then one of my favorite quotes from Thomas Edison is that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So what does that mean? That means you have to get out there and actually do something and take some action, right? It's fun to be an armchair investor, but what we find is a lot of armchair investors especially if you're an armchair investor as you're just getting started, you don't make as much money as you could if you were actually out there taking significant action. As you make the decision, I will tell you, one of my colleagues started in real estate investing about 10 years ago, and when he started, he was working a full-time job, which my guess is most of you guys are, and he said that every day when he got home from his full-time job, he would start what he would call the second shift. So this is where the kids were in bed and fed and washed and cleaned, and then instead of turning on the TV, instead of getting on the socials, instead of goofing off, they would start their second shift. So this is where they would start their planning. This is where they would start their work to make sure that they were able to make that transition into real estate investing and leave their prior lives and their prior jobs behind. Sometimes you also have to do what I call create a stop doing list to get things out of your way or get yourself out of your way. I'm sure that we all have different things that we are doing in our lives that are getting in the way of our greatness. And sometimes these are very small things, but what we find is the compound effect of these small things really adds up significantly over time. And I'll tell you that a couple years ago, I hired a new assistant, and I had said to him, if you ever see me doing dishes in the office, there's a major problem. Because if I'm doing dishes, I'm doing the work of someone who should be making about $10 an hour. And if I'm making $10 an hour, then there's no way that I'm going to be able to afford to pay you at $20 or $30 an hour. So if you see me doing something like that, just grab the dishes out of my hand and throw them across the room and get me out of there. Right? So these are these little things that we do, and I'm sure you guys can think of things that you do in your own life that are getting in the way of your greatness, whether it's you spending time mowing your lawn, whether it's you spending time doing your dishes, whether it's you spending time cooking, whether it's you spending time driving, all of these different things, or spending time doing what I call not even just minimum wage activities, but no wage activities, right? If you look at your screen time, how many of you guys are like so happy that Apple, for those of you guys who are Apple users, so happy that Apple like gives you a screen time report every week? And it's like you just don't. Some weeks it's like I don't even want to look at this. It's going to be it's going to make me feel like I'm not going in the direction that I want to go. It's going to make me feel like I'm wasting time, on my phone all day when I should be doing something that's more productive. So think about what should be on your stop doing list, and the stop doing list should be something that grows over time. It's funny. One of my friends, when she found out or knew that I didn't clean my house, I didn't do any of my own cooking, that I barely drive for myself. She said this. She said, "Oh, those rich people." It's just like she had a negative opinion of me, and until she started realizing that, man, all of these minimum wage activities that she's doing is getting in the way of her doing more deals, right? Of her making even significantly more money. And, the other thing she's now able to do, and I've been able to do for over 10 years now, is because I don't do these things, it allows me to create an economy that includes other people, meaning I employ other people. And if I'm, again, doing all these minimum wage activities, I'm not going to be able to employ any of the folks that I employ. So don't those risks. No, don't do that. Think bigger than that. Think beyond that, and create that stop doing list so that you can make way for those things that you really want. Commit yourself to that vision. Your vision should encompass all areas of your life, not just your career, financial goals, but also your physical, spiritual, and social goals. What we find is people get on their path, they sometimes will start to focus on one thing and one thing only. They may just focus on their wealth at the expense of their health. They may focus on their wealth at the expense of their relationships. So all of these things combined make us really who we are. And if one of these legs of our stool is missing, then our stool is not going to be able to stand up to any pressures that come with life. So make sure it does encompass all of those things. And I will say, be passionate about it. So I'm recently reading the book by Carmen Gallo. It's about, he wrote it about some of the different TED Talks that are out there, and it's called Talk Like TED. And one of the things that he said was the folks that are able to make more money are the ones that are able to passionately connect with people, or explain what they're passionate about, and be able to create these connections. Sometimes what I find is a lot of real estate investors feel like, and I fully admit that I was one of these real estate investors myself, that it was all about the money and all about the numbers and about nothing else. And I was very dispassionate, in fact, about some of the human relationships that I encountered as a real estate investor for many years. And I did have an experience for me that absolutely turned that around for me. And it has allowed me to connect in many different ways that I was shut down to be honest with you, before. And even if you're not shut down to it, you may not even notice it, you may say, well, I'm in this business to make money. Well, great. Well, what else? Because you're not going to be able to connect with the person that you're buying a house from if that's the only reason why you are there. You have to express something that is higher. You have to express something that is more purposeful. That's how we connect people. People don't want to be sold. They want to go out and go shopping with friends. Who are our friends but people that believe what we believe, and people who are passionate about what we are passionate about. Who do we want to sell our houses to? But people who, man, I see myself in you. Or you are an underdog, or you root for the underdog, or what you're going to do with the funds is build houses for the homeless. I mean, yes, no, I want you to win. I was talking to one of my girlfriends who's also a real estate investor, and she said she had gotten this text from one of her sellers. This is a text that most people in this room will never get. And it said this, it said, "I hope you make a shitload of money on my house." Where did you think a seller would ever say that to you, right? Never. Why would a seller say that to you? Because do you think they had a connection? The answer is 100% absolutely. Do you think other investors went to go and talk to that seller and try to make a deal with that seller? Oh, you bet. But what was the difference with this one? She took the time to make a connection. She took a time to talk about the things that she was passionate about. She took the time to get to know and understand what that seller's position was and build that relationship. So as much as you might like to think that this business is just about the numbers, right? I save people from going to foreclosure. I stop foreclosure. I pay cash. I can close tomorrow. Yeah, that's all wonderful. So can every single other person in this room. But tell me what differentiates you from the other investors, and that will be your passion will be your finances. Your passion will build your finances. If you're not passionate about it, then yeah, your finances are not going to grow from there. So I will say be passionate about that. And this is probably one of my favorite quotes from the Dalai Lama. When asked what surprised him most about humanity, he said, "Man," because he sacrifices his health in order to make money, right? So he's got this four-legged stool, and he's focused on one thing, so he loses his health. And then he sacrifices his money to recuperate his health. Right? How many people have you seen do that, right? Work so hard, that's the only thing that they focus on. They let their bodies go, and then at the end of their lives, their bodies can't support them anymore. So now they have to reinvest in their bodies. He's so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. Focusing too much on the past, worrying too much about the future, not realizing that, and if you think of the word, the present, think of it as a present. Think of it as a gift, because that is truly what it is to every single one of us. Let the past go, work hard in the future, take dramatic action. That's how we get there. As you're breaking down your goals, break them down into what we call doable units. These doable units will be the action items that you're going to put forth to make sure that you get to where ultimately you want to go. If you're just saying, "I want to invest in real estate," well, it's like saying, "I'm going to eat an elephant," and you're not taking it one bite at a time. Just like anything that we do in life, it requires a plan, especially for us as real estate investors. You'll translate those goals into missions, and you need to create those short-term goals, long-term goals, mid-range goals, and my favorite goal is the stretch goal. So that's like, yeah, this is what we're going to do if we're going to put everything we've got into this. Some of you guys may think of the stretch goal as the way it's written by the author Grant Cardone. He calls it the 10X rule. So whatever you thought you had to do as a real estate investor, put a 0 behind it. So if you thought you were going to have to send 100 letters, no, you're going to have to send 1,000. If you thought you were going to have to send 1,000, no, you're going to have to send 10,000. That's what it really takes. It takes extreme effort. Why do most businesses fail in the first year of being in existence? They don't put enough effort in. They don't do enough planning. As you're setting up your goals, SMART goals are still the gold standard. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. These are the ones that get accomplished. For me as well, I keep a list of all of my goals in the Notes app on my phone. So I refer back to it over and over again throughout the course of the year. In fact, I add to it over and over again throughout the course of the year and revise it. As you're prioritizing your goals, figure out what you need to do immediately to get there. And again, think about creating that stop doing list. Think about the things that you're doing right now that might be holding you back, holding at your status quo, right? Would you rather go out on a seller appointment where you might be able to make $50,000, or would you rather go and clean your house and do your own lawn and laundry? How many of you guys have read the New York Times bestseller, How I Did My Laundry, Lawn, Dry Cleaning, and Cooking, My Way to Millions. How many of you guys read that book? Oh yeah, it's because it's never been written. But why are you all doing it? Right? You've all read the book, How I Did Real Estate and Made My Way to Millions, right? Otherwise you probably wouldn't be here. You know, that's a reality. But how you did all these minimum wage activities to get, no, there's no such animal. So if we all know that and we all recognize that, why don't we create that stop doing list so that we can get moving forward in the right directions? Burning the ships. How many of you guys are working a full-time job right now? Okay, it's about all of you. This can be uncomfortable. For me, when I left corporate America, it was uncomfortable. I had the security blanket, which was insurance, which was a check delivered to my bank account every 2 weeks. It was I had a place to go, right? I had a tribe. I had that security. It was fantastic. I was not necessarily ready to leave my full-time job, so I went part-time, then I went more part-time, then I went into a consultancy role in this job before I finally let go, because it took me a while to get that confidence up, and that's natural, that's normal. But at some point, I had to ask myself the question, or I came to the realization, man, me working this job is actually costing me money. This job is now become a minimum wage activity for me, right? So your minimum wage activities develop over time, and the things that you cut become things that you would never have thought you would have cut maybe 5 years earlier, right? So sometimes you do have to make that dramatic break from the past, because having a half-hearted commitment will sometimes end in disaster, right? You'll get too busy. Your work will be too busy. And I talk to investors all the time who tell me, oh, you know, I wanted to get started, but such and such happened at work, or such and such, and I want to say, like, you know, and this is going to sound harsh, but I want to say, no, that's an excuse. An excuse happened in your life. An excuse, again, another excuse happened in your life, right? Guys, we make time for the things that we want. We make excuses for the things that, you decide if it's important. If it is, you're going to take action. You need to take action. If it's not, might end in disaster. Managing risk. Before you burn the ships, answer the question, what's the best thing that could happen, the worst thing that could happen, the most likely result of this action? This is something that I even do with every real estate deal that I look at. Best case, worst case, most likely case scenario, right? Too many people come in with the best case scenario. That's why most businesses fail within the first year of being in existence, because they're not generating the income. They're focused on the wrong things. There is a book called The Art of the Start, and The Art of the Start 2.0. It's written by Guy Kawasaki. And he was talking about what a lot of companies focus on when they are starting a startup business, when they're starting their own business. And he talked about one company specifically that had gotten a first round of funding. And in their first round of funding, they bought 400 Herman Miller office chairs. Okay? Really, you know, if you three in the back row were working, you'd just be like, no, I'll just sit on the floor, right? No, I don't need a chair. I'm just gonna work until I get what the thing that you need to focus on is the revenue. Everything else, after you prove you got a real business and you build that revenue, then guess what? You can go out and buy your Herman Miller chairs. But when you're using somebody else's money to do that, no, rethink your priorities. If the most likely result would take you towards your vision, and you're willing to deal with the worst possible result in exchange for a shot at the best possible result, go ahead and burn the ships. Okay. Sometimes if you have a spouse or a partner, one partner will burn a ship at a time, right? And then bring the other one along as soon as the other one is comfortable as well, and as soon as you can prove that you can create that income. Action, dramatic, shouldn't be just act, all caps, it should be dramatic action. This is how we achieve the things that we want. We have to make drastic breaks from the past, and we have to take dramatic action. And I will say, too, that the action itself will eliminate some of the fear. Having a plan eliminates some of that fear that we all have. Having those goals set up and executing those goals, those are the things that eliminate those fears, and those are obviously the things that get you closer to your goal. People procrastinate and don't take action, usually because they don't have a plan, usually because they haven't taken the time to break it down, usually because the only thing that they have on their to-do list is to become a real estate investor. That's not enough. That's not detailed enough. You need more in order to be successful. Maintain perspective and faith. Failure plus perseverance equals success. My favorite, Yoda, try not, do or do not. There is no try. Once you hear yourself saying, I'm going to try to do whatever that may be, know automatically that you're not committed enough. You're just not. Commit and start taking action. Don't give up. Don't get distracted. Listen, it's not going to happen overnight. I've talked to a couple of investors who had overnight success, and I had to kind of say, hey, great job on those first couple of deals or the first deal. Don't expect them all to be like that, right? So even after you have become successful, you do have to know that it is a numbers game that we play as real estate investors, and you have to have that perseverance and faith during both the good times and the bad times, and not get too overconfident. You have to hang in there long enough to actually be successful. So again, if you're nervous about burning those ships, wait until you've got the savings up, and wait until you've had some success to actually go and make that next step. Now, for my husband and I, we still have our original sets of business plans of what we thought our business was going to be when we first started investing back in 2003. And let me tell you something. Our business is not what we thought it was going to be, looking back 16 years later. Even honestly, looking back 5 years later, our business was not what we thought it was going to be. So you will have to cycle back and adjust that plan for yourself, right? So it's going to be a cycle that looks like acting, learning. So you're testing different things, you're trying different things, you're adjusting, and you're applying those lessons until you reach your goals. And if your actions are not getting you closer to your goals, then you need to reevaluate your actions. I have this little Post-it note that has, I put a new one on my computer because the old one wore out. But it's a little Post-it note, and it just asks the very simple question: will this get you closer to your goals? Will this get you closer to your goals? So that's, for me, something that I want to say, I want to ask myself every day. I wish I could attach a Post-it note to my cell phone, because sometimes the things that I do on my cell phone, they're not getting me closer to my goals at all. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I also, for about 2 years, I had that same Post-it note, or that same saying, on the door right outside of my pantry. So I should have just put it like straight on the Oreos. But, it's like, is this going to get you closer to your goals? You should be saying that in everything that you do, and everything that you do in life, right? Is it or is it not? And, I'll tell you that some investors that I talk to, I ask them this question, and it is this: what is your entertainment to education ratio? What is your entertainment to education ratio? Have a moment to think about that. And I don't want you to come out of here and say, like, I've been here tonight, I'm winning, I got this. I want you to think about what it's been over the last week, as an example. If you are spending more time entertaining yourself than you are spending educating yourself and working on your business, your new business, you think you have a problem, the answer is yes. And sometimes I'll ask people to, consider their, what they do on the socials, right? How much time are you spending watching other people be successful, right? How much time are you liking what everybody else is doing? Is that getting you any closer to you achieving your goals? I know some of you guys probably binge watch, right? Is binge watching getting you any closer to your goals? I think what it's doing is you're watching other people be successful. You're supporting other people reach their goals, but you're getting in the way of your own goals. For sporting events, right? I mean, I know some people who will get in front of the TV and watch football all day Saturday and all day Sunday, right? Is that getting you closer to you're supporting somebody else in work on their goals, right? Congratulations, you're not getting any closer to you getting towards your goals. Now, I'm not saying to be a complete Nazi about it, right? We all have to have things in life that we enjoy, and I do believe that, but how much, what does that ratio look like for you? And if that ratio right now is not something that's making you successful, would you admit that you might need to make some changes there, right? And in order to reevaluate. And once you find out what those changes are and once you are successful in those actions, one of the things that we talk about is to bring the boom, right? So that means I found this marketing strategy that works like gangbusters. All right, let's spend all of our marketing dollars on it, right? Or we'll still stay a little diversified. Let's bring the boom in that direction. I've got the confidence. I know how to handle these types of deals. I know how to handle these types of sellers. Let's go and get as many of those as we possibly can. As you achieve your goals, and this is something that I personally struggle with a little bit. Like I am very much a heads down, go to work type of a lady. But I know that I do need that rest, those rest periods, and those times just to kind of relax and kind of work on myself so that I can go out there and kick some more butt. But it is important to take some time and to enjoy your accomplishments. And not be satisfied. I mean, you're still going to be working towards new ones, but those can be as simple as movie nights, last-minute vacations. But you have to take that time to kind of regenerate, because if you are, speaking from personal experience, if you are working yourself to death, you are stressing yourself to death, and you may not realize it, at least initially. But at some point, you're going to get something that's going to alarm you. In your health, and that will change the way you think about everything. So you want to have all of those legs of that stool be very focused on being in balance. So take a break, but do set the next goal. Don't rest too long, right? Don't focus on that entertainment too long. And step 11 is setting the next goal, getting in that recommitment phase. After you've fulfilled that first one, you're ready to commit to another. Sometimes you might be in a position where you ask, is this all there is? It's like I did this, what else is there? And probably all of you guys are asking yourselves that right now in your lives, and that's probably even why you're here. That can be a very troubling place to be, and a very difficult question to answer for yourself, but at some point you're going to have to get ready to get uncomfortable with the status quo. For me personally, I did not go to school to study real estate. I got my MBA from Rice University. I was working in corporate America and financial planning and analysis. It took a lot, and that status quo was not good for me. And I had asked myself, like, is this really my life? Like, is this really going to be my life forever? And that thought really was uncomfortable to me. But it was also very uncomfortable to leave something that I felt like, no, I mean, I worked and I'd studied and this is my plan. And I got there and it was like, so I had to get uncomfortable again. And you guys are probably all in a similar situation. I had to get uncomfortable with my status quo. I had to get uncomfortable with that security blanket. And I had to reinvent. And what you need to know also about setting new goals is there will always be competitors at your heels. Now we have some big disruptions with some national competitors coming into our market. We have to be more creative. We have to come up with better solutions. We have to be more passionate about the things that we do and conveying that passion, and understanding that selling when it comes to real estate and buying when it comes to real estate is not always just about a number. Your clients, your customers will always want more, so keep up by reevaluating the market and setting the next set of goals. For my husband and I, when we first started investing, we only invested in single-family residential. And over the last 5 years, we've opened it up to pushing ourselves into commercial multifamily. So we've made great strides in doing that because we were ready for that next challenge. We were ready to challenge that status quo. We were ready to grow to the next level. So you will find yourself in that position too as a real estate investor, and look for different opportunities to win in those cases as well. Finally, embrace change. Gosh, it is so much a part of life, and Moore's Law has been demonstrated over and over and over again, and there is so much technology and so much change that is coming and doubling and coming our way. We have to be ready for that, and we have to look at that as an opportunity that we decide we want to thrive in that place, because that is how life is. So what that means for us is, yes, you got educated, you went to college, great, congratulations. Yeah, that's going to get you through about the next 10 years, but what's after that? You do have to be focused on re-educating, never stop learning. I'll tell you right now, I'm going through some coaching with a great negotiator, and I am learning so much, and I am absolutely loving it, and I bring it back and I share it with the people as part of this organization as well. So I'm not done, and just because, yes, I'm a successful real estate investor, but I have so much more to do and so much more to grow, and every single one of you guys do as well. So please think of your life, think of your brain as a gift, right? And always be doing things to serve that gift that you were given, and don't take it for granted, because nothing in this world is promised, nothing. So you've got to keep looking for those new opportunities and embracing that change, adopting that truly what we call entrepreneurial mindset. Because if not, you could end up as a little birdie on the far right. So adapt, mutate, migrate, or die, right? So you got to keep growing, you got to keep learning, you got to keep taking it to the next level. So guys, I hope that gives you some bit of inspiration as you think about working through the new year, and as you think about setting goals for the new year. And look forward to being part of that path, of your path as part of the Investor Association. And thank you all for being out with us tonight. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and see you next time.